Akademiks, can't ride no wave.
Holy shit. Okay. All right. We'll get that out of the way. We'll actually move on to some other issues. Obviously, we're going to get into the ASAP Relly and Rocky issue. Yo, Relly is in court, like, doing the most. Yo, I'm going to be honest with you. This is like some nigga shit trial. And what I mean by that is, like, Relly's talking shit to Rocky. Relly trying to press or question the Rocky's lawyer. They're asking, it's getting a little ghetto up in that trial, okay? It's getting a little ghetto. Before we get to that, though, let's actually get to something that's we've been covering for a while, but we haven't seen any update for a while, but we've seen an update today. So in the Diddy case, there is a superseding indictment. Now, let me just lay this out very clear and clean for y'all. Diddy got indicted on a RICO charge. It's the lead charge in a series of 3 charges that he's had before. One is, we'll pull it up later, but he had 3 charges. The odd thing about that is, bro, how you charge a nigga with a RICO? Where's the gang, right? A RICO, usually you go get the gang. How you gonna charge one man like he's a whole, because it's an enterprise, it's an organization charge. How's one man an organization, an enterprise, without a co-conspirator? Anyway, we knew a superseding indictment was gonna come at some point, and one came down actually yesterday. But it was actually, it came down with mixed reviews, because I think people expected to see more people indicted. That was not the case. So Diddy is still the only indicted person in this RICO, which, again, we're going to keep asking, where's the rest of the enterprise and the organization? However, what they did do, they added 2 victims. And we're going to try to briskly read through this to try to figure out who the victims that they may have added are. Number one, we do know the first victim is Cassie, right? Like, because they cite that victim 1 got beat up in a hotel and cited the date when they got beat up that aligns with the video of Diddy beating up Cassie. But we also did say, how come Diddy's getting sued by 120 people, but there's only 1 victim in the criminal trial? So we do have some paperwork here, and this was actually filed today. So this is actually a redacted version. The unredacted version right now is currently under seal. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because, I think, this is not a major update, but it is a valid update. So this is a superseding indictment, the first superseding indictment for Sean Puffy Combs. It still has the 3 counts. Now, usually when we see superseding indictments, we see new counts, right? I think a lot of people thought they were going to see counts that were going to be associated with shootings or maybe murder or maybe even, arson is mentioned in here, but it's not its own separate charge. It's just under this racketeering charge. Anyway, so Diddy, again, he's the only person charged. It's a superseding indictment. Count 1 is racketeering. As we said, it's the lead charge, racketeering. So they go through pretty much a lot. We're going to hear them mention, and the only reason I'm reading this is because we're now going to try to figure out who the next 2 victims are. So remember, the feds have sat and talked to not thousands, but like probably hundreds or dozens of people who probably have said Diddy has done something to them, but they're not going to put nobody in their case if that person is half lying, capping, don't remember shit. Like, they're looking for serious people. So they had Cassie for a while. Now they got the other 2. Let's see if we can figure out who the other 2 are, okay? So in this enterprise or the racketeering part, I don't think they actually mention, they don't mention victim 2. Victim 1, again, we do know is Cassie. Let's see if we can, okay, so here we see mention of victim 2 and 3. So let's just read this right here. Among the means and methods by where Diddy and members of the associates of the Combs enterprise conducted and participated in the conduct of affairs, Combs and other members and associates wielded power and prestige of Combs' role at his Combs businesses to intimidate, threaten, and lure females into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. That's another thing that I think we're kind of also seeing a little bit clearer picture. We're not seeing the feds trying to say, they're saying women, they're not saying men. They're not adopting this theory that Diddy was forcing men to have sex. I know that's a theory that's kind of gotten a little steam, especially when we've seen some of these lawsuits. They're basically saying Diddy it even says it here. It So cause victims, but not limited to 3 female victims. So we do know that the 2 new female victims, one is Cassie. So victim 1 is Cassie. 2 and 3 are also women. So I know some people thought that Little Rod would be probably in the superseding indictment based on all the vivid details he gave in his lawsuit. But the feds have not adopted him as a victim yet. Okay, so to engage in commercial sex acts, blah, blah, I get that. We're trying to figure out what the hell he did with victim 2 and 3. If we get to know that, we might be able to tell who they are. Now, I think the feds are also very, very much understanding that people like us are going to be reading this indictment, and they don't want to give away their victims until it's time to trial. By the way, also, I want to give you this other piece of info, because the feds, we're actually going to read after this, the feds wrote a letter saying that there probably is going to be more superseding indictments, but they're saying that they're trying to make everything quickly, because if you don't know, Diddy's set to go to trial in May 2025. So May 2025, he's set to go to trial. I don't think he's going to go to trial then, because if they drop another superseding indictment with other people, and even this one, any good lawyer is going to say, well, we did the homework for victim 1. That was in the first indictment, but these other 2 people, we're going to need a couple months to go research and figure out and get private investigators to go see what was up with these people. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'm just looking for anything to do with, okay, so they're talking about guns, but they didn't charge him with a gun. They're naming the conspiracy. Okay, I'm just going down to see what about victim 1. Well, victim 2 and 3, I'm sorry, is in there. Multiple offenses about these type of drugs. Damn. Okay. Agreed that a conspirator would at least commit. Okay, so they got to file another charge, because they're saying there's conspirators. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they still only talk about Cassie. They're just saying, so here's how this matters for Diddy. Remember, so now officially, Diddy could say, you're saying, like, to put it simply, this would have been 3 separate charges on against Diddy versus 3 separate people. So Diddy already got discovery for everything with Cassie, because she was listed as a victim. They were mentioning other people, but they didn't list them as victims. So in that particular situation, Diddy couldn't get discovery on them. Now with Diddy having 2 additional victims, he could request discovery on them. But I don't think they're going to tell us what the fuck Diddy did to those other 2 victims, other than he sex trafficked, blah, blah, blah. Like, we want specific instances. Like, did he fucking chase her down the hallway? Did he run into her car? Like here, let's see. Here they're talking about Cassie, obviously. They're saying maintain Cassie and aided and abetted and blah, blah, caused her to engage in, okay. All right, here we go. It says from at least 2009 to whatever, he knowingly transported individuals interstate and foreign commerce with the intent of individuals engaging in prostitution. Okay. Just not limited to not individual 1. Victim 1, victim 2, and victim 3. Okay, so yeah, they're not really saying much in this shit. Yeah, they're not saying what victim 2 and 3 did, or what he's alleged to have done to them specifically. But they did submit another letter to the court, and in the letter to the court, this is what they said. They said, "Dear Judge, the government submits this letter regarding the superseding indictment 1, returned today, in the above referenced case by a grand jury sitting in this district. As set before, no new charge offenses are there," which, again, we all agree. So it's still three offenses. But it includes an allegation in count 1, the charge racketeering conspiracies, and specifies certain victims relevant to count 1 and count 3. So they're saying that victim 2 and victim 3 were affected by the racketeering and the prostitution ring. Count 2 is all about Cassie. Actually, count 2 specifically, we could even go back up. Count 2, Cassie is still going to be the lead victim. Or lead witness, I mean. Yeah, count 2, it actually just says victim 1. So the sex trafficking is her, right? Okay. Let me see. Overview of the indictment. In addition to the allegations included in the initial indictment, superseding indictment 1 includes the following new allegations. additional speaking allegations regarding racketeering, extensions of the racketeering conspiracy from around 2004 to 2024. Okay, so that's very important. So if we're going to use our brains to figure out what's going on here. So if they added two more defendants, not defendants, I'm sorry, I'm fucking up on words today. Sorry, chap. If they added two more victims, but they extended the time, it's probably likely that those women were, remember, the timeline before was 2008 or 2009 to 2024. If they said now we're going back to 2004, it's probably safe to assume that one of those women are from 2004 to 2009, right before he met Cassie. Now, I don't know Diddy's dating history off the top of my head, but you guys start throwing out some names, right? Who was Diddy rumored to be involved with from 2004 to 2009? Because these two victims has elongated the time. Who is it? Does anybody know? If anybody knows, please let me know, because I'm wondering who the hell was Diddy dating back then? Somebody say you don't want to hear about Diddy. Something happened in Philly. What the hell happened in Philly? Wait, a plane crash in Philly? Stop it. Okay, we're gonna get to the Philly plane crash in a second. We will. Let me finish this situation real quick. It's gonna take like 3 minutes. Somebody said J-Lo. I don't think it's J-Lo. I thought J-Lo was like early 2000s. Am I tripping? Y'all are trolling. Somebody say Drewski. Man, stop it, man. Sarah May, thank you for the membership. Okay, we're gonna get to the plane crash, guys. I do see it. Okay. Anyway, we'll use context clues to figure out who those two victims could be, but we're probably gonna assume that at least one of these two victims he was dealing with before he met Cassie. So we'll figure out that. Anyway, let's just read the new things else they said. Additional racketeering involvement, including kidnapping. Okay. So there's more allegations of kidnapping. Obviously, we know that there was allegations of kidnapping with Cassie, but apparently they're accusing him of kidnapping. And obviously, if you don't know what kidnapping sometimes means in the statute of the law, usually if you lock the door and tell somebody they can't leave, that's kidnapping. You get what I'm saying? If you lock the door and you got a gun and you tell them they can't leave, you don't have to like hold them or tie up their face. Or if that becomes usually kidnapping with some type of aggravated threat of force or some aggravated assault charge. Anyway, additional narcotics and controlled substances, specifically cyclin and methamphetamine, included in the racketeering activity involving possession with the intent to distribute narcotics. Okay, yeah, the nigga had drugs. Yeah, this dude had a party pack. Modification of the to wit to include, okay, so this is where victims 1, 2, and 3 got indicted, and this is the last part that we will know. The government has already produced to the defense nearly all Rule 16 discovery related to the new allegations. Okay, so basically they're saying we gave Diddy all the evidence already. This discovery included productions of search warrant affidavits, defendants' own electronic devices and accounts, identified data from devices and accounts belonging to third parties, subpoena returns, among material. In addition to the discovery already produced, the government is preparing a limited discovery production relevant to counts 1 and 3 of the superseding indictment, specifically by approximately February 14. Okay? They're saying that the defendant has already received data, and they're saying they anticipate that the additional identified data will be limited to media files, videos, and photographs. So essentially, if you ask me, I think they're saying, yo, Diddy, we got some videos of you having sex or freak-offs with some other women. We've talked to the women. The women probably have said, yeah, I wasn't really with it or whatever, or nah, I kind of had to do it because he was telling me this was a whatever, and look like they have went on to charge or pursue criminal charges against him. So 2 other women will figure it out. The government does not expect superseding indictment to affect the scheduling order. Okay, so there's a scheduling order. The trial's in May. They're saying they don't expect it to affect that. And they respectfully suggest that the court arraign the defendant, which means just reading out the new charges to him, which is an in-court appearance. And then the last thing it says, as the government previously indicated, an investigation remains active and ongoing. The government will endeavor to return any further superseding indictment as promptly as possible, mindful of the May 5th, 2025 trial date in this case. Additionally, regardless of whether the government seeks to charge any other offenses, to the extent the government obtains evidence that it may seek to introduce at trial, it will disclose such evidence to the defense as either Rule 16 or Jenks Act material. The government further remains cognizant of its ongoing Brady obligation and will promptly disclose any exculpatory evidence in its possession when it becomes aware. At the December 18th. Okay, all right, so cool. All right. So, yeah, it's a superseding indictment that essentially they're now looking at Diddy and they're saying, hey, we got 2 more victims. And I do think there's going to be a second superseding indictment where they put in some more co-conspirators, but that's to come. So nothing too crazy. And they haven't, we're not going to go through another bond hearing because that's where we got most of the juicy details. What the detention hearing when the government had to file and say what Diddy was doing. Like, yo, he blew up Kid Cudi's car. He beat her up in a hotel. He did this. On this date, he had a freak off and she couldn't go home, whatever. So we're not going to get those allegations yet about victim 2 and 3. That would probably give us, Diddy's dating life is usually public, so it'd probably tell us exactly who it was through context clues, but we're not going to get that because Diddy's not going to try to get out of jail yet, at least on bond again. All right, I see what y'all talking about, a Philly plane crash.